I'm back. Hey, you guys, what's up? This is Social Anxiously, and I'm actually back with just another episode. Just talking that you know what. Um, Golly, guys, it's been a fast approaching week. Tomorrow, I got to work a double shift. Just a lot going on today. I don't really want to talk about anything specific, but about relationships and what we learn from relationships. And even though I've been in a very minimal amount of relationships, the thing I can say about my past relationship, which is with my ex fiance, hopefully this mic isn't too much fiddling, faddling, or whatever. My last relationship, the primary thing that I learned about my relationship was the fact that, golly, you guys, I wasn't financially stable. Like, this was the longest relationship I was in. We started out. Here's how we met. We met on what is it? OkCupid.com, right? And we talked for a few weeks or whatever, and then we finally met up. We met up in Arlington, Texas, and I noticed off the bat like she was straight up clingy. Like she didn't want me to go, and I was like trying to find out any kind of way to just to like get out of the situation as far as leaving, but. I went ahead, I didn't have anybody. I went ahead and stuck it out, whatever, as far as the relationship is concerned. But we met up that day, and then we talked and all that good stuff. And finally, I met her parents after like so many months. I wasn't ready to meet her parents. I didn't feel comfortable, and I didn't know her parents like that. So I wanted to get to know her better more than anything. It just so happens that things ended up not working out, and her parents, actually had a huge part to do with that, and I'll get to that later. But our relationship, it was all right at first, but then we kind of like separated over something so stupid, over the fact that I told her that I had hooked up with a chick who was like, I think she was Mexican and Asian. So yeah, she was like a mixed chick. It was like way back, whatever. And so she broke it off with me for like 3 days. And then she was calling me or whatever. She was like, I miss you and all this other good stuff. I was like, yeah, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So by then my feelings like toward her just kind of like died out. Like we were only together for like 3 months, I think, at that time. And then the summer had came up and I actually registered for some classes. I actually ran into this other chick, right? And I actually, man, this chick, I'm telling y'all, she was bad. She was a mixed chick. I consider her black, but she's like black and Asian, right? And so I would always sit next to her or whatever, because the first day of class I saw her by herself. And so I was like, I'm gonna sit next to this girl, she's fine. I'm really feeling this chick. So I was like, all right, let me go over here. The next class we had, I think it was like on a Thursday. I went over there and I sat right next to her. And probably the next class period after that, which is on a Tuesday, I ended up finally starting a little conversation with her, whatever, get to know where she was from and all that good stuff. And it just so happened that at the time I was walking, man, which is so embarrassing because this girl's like really gorgeous, right? And so I was like, hey, is there any way I could get a ride or blah blah blah? And she was like, yeah, I'll give you a ride. I was like, cool. And she lived next door to me in the apartments, right? So she didn't live in my apartment complex, but there's two apartment complexes like hooked, and there's a fence that separates it. Like one apartment complex is like decent looking, but the other one's like really top notch, which I used to live in those too. But she picked me up on her way from wherever she was, and we went to class together and all that good stuff. We talked and listened to some music. Finally made it to class, all that. Long story short, I started like really liking this girl, and so I was kind of like not really with my ex at the time because we had separated for a few days. So finally, we got back to me and my ex, and I kind of left it alone with that one girl, right? I'm up here talking my head off and not even doing nothing. But yeah, we were hanging out and all that good stuff. And man, I really like this girl. So long story short, me and Mike's got back together and we worked things out, and then we had a long relationship that lasted pretty much 2 years. But during the course of this relationship, like it just didn't feel right. You know what I'm saying? It felt like she couldn't trust me for no reason. Like she just felt like whatever her parents were telling her, that's what she believed in, and it was really irritating to me. Like one day, I remember, like after we got done doing like some stuff in the bed or whatever, she was like, "Yeah, I'll keep you, or whatever." I was like, "What?" I was like, "What's that supposed to mean? We've been together for like a year and something, and you're saying that?" So it was what it was. But her parents were basically saying to me, because she brought up to a conversation with me that because I was black, that she shouldn't have dated me. That they don't feel like I'm family oriented, and that what else did they say? They said that she should basically go out with a white dude or a Mexican. That's what she told me. I was like, huh? I was like, why? Why would they say something like that? And she was like, I don't know, that's just the way they feel. And immediately in the back of my mind, like I thought they were like some kind of traitors or something against their own people. It's just kind of weird for two black people to say something like that in my mind. You know, if, I mean, it is what it is, but I just feel kind of weird about that. Parents doing that, kind of having that kind of mentality, teaching their daughter that, that's kind of wrong. I'm just saying. So anyway, long story short, automatically I didn't like her parents from then on. Even when I met them, something didn't feel right. We went to the dog park and I met them there. In the dog park, we all talked all that good stuff. Her father's asked me, you know, what do I like? Do I like sports? Blah blah blah. All this other crap. I was like, yeah, it's cool, whatever. And eventually we left, and I just didn't have the right vibe with her parents. But what did me in that relationship was just the fact that I wasn't financially ready. So the very first thing I believe you should have, if you're gonna start a relationship and you be serious about it, be financially stable, y'all. Okay, that's what I gotta say. Um, I would say have your own place, especially if you're a dude. But at the same time, here's what I think is more important, especially in specific kind of communities. It's better to be around family and to build up different things. Families can put back together and get things. Like for instance, if you want to start a business, everybody working, just put together some money, have money for that business, and give it to somebody. And then that person who comes up in that business put back in the pot while everybody else is contributing, and somebody else get another business. So that's two businesses right there. And you just automatically start building up like that. If somebody wants a house, you know, do the same thing, vice versa. Because that's what's actually going to bring families together. So that's what I'm big on. I think we should start doing that. Now, the unfortunate part is you have the INDEPENDENT. Do you know what that means? Type female. So the Miss Independent will be like, look, you got to have your own place, your own car, you know, a really good job. And because of that, I'm telling you, a lot of females are losing. Because where we're at right now in the state of America, with all this Charlotte's crap going on in Virginia and all this racial war stuff, which I don't fall into that because I know. But anyway, I know that that's a game, so I don't really fall into that. But the Miss Independent, that's got to stop, y'all. Ladies, you got to stop that. That's really hurting dudes. Y'all have to come together on an agreement to find out what you two have in common and go from there. You know, sisters, if you're higher than him, try to build him up, see what he can do. If he's like really rejecting what you're showing him and what you're trying to give him, then you know you can't be with that person. But fellas as well, if your female is low and not as high as you, you try to bring her up too. You upgrade her. You have to upgrade each other. There's nothing wrong with that. But if it becomes a pattern, habitual pattern of somebody trying to want to lose in life, then you might have to let them go. So it's about building things together and building things up as opposed to staying in the same place. So that's one thing I did notice is You have to have your own place if you're wanting to start a relationship with a female. What else? Further in our relationship, um, I was just losing my I was losing my mojo, man. She made me lose my mojo, like, and this is like really personal, but I wouldn't even get like a boner, like for real, for real. And her head game was just horrible. Like, I know people are listening, family, whatever, but I just gotta be honest. Like, head game was horrible. Sex wasn't great. Like, my thing was getting hard, but it wasn't like, oh my god, like, you know what I mean? Like, she'd be doing whatever she's doing, whatever, and I would just like totally be looking up at the ceiling, like, I wonder when Dallas is playing. I know that's horrible, but or I'd be thinking about the other girl that I met in my class, and that's just like so wrong because it was just the sex was horrible. Like, so that's another thing. Sex has to be decent, guys or ladies, fellas. Same for you too, ladies. But y'all gotta bring it too. Trust me, because if you're thinking that the P is super super good, you might want to think again because dudes have an opinion on that too. Another thing is closest to family. You know, I mean, my family's not close, but we alright. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't get along with her parents, and you know, when you get married, you pretty much marry the family. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't get along with her dad at all because the most bizarre thing toward the end of the relationship happened. I'm gonna just go ahead and fast forward to this talk. All right, so I was going to. I actually applied to become a surgical technician. Right, this is before we had to take the HESI. So I didn't get the position, right? But before that, my ex was telling me, so much depends upon this, you getting this, us getting married and all this other stuff, blah blah blah, us being together. So anyway, I finally got the letter, opened up the mail, my ex was on the phone, and she was like, "Oh, read it, read it." And then I read it, and it said, "Sorry, to let you know that we have not accepted you, blah blah blah." And then she just like starts crying, really bad, and then she hangs up. She's like, "I gotta hang up with her, blah blah blah." So she gets home. Tell me why everything that we share in our relationship, everything about our relationship, when her parents see her crying, she tells them everything. There wasn't nothing private or anything. She let them know everything. So I was like, wow, you really do that? So she wanted to break it off with me or whatever. So I was like, all right, whatever. I'm cool. I'm good. So we broke it off. And then she came back over or whatever, and she wanted, like, I guess some goodbye sex. So we hooked up, all that good stuff. And that was that. But her father called me, right? He was talking about getting me married with her. He was like, hey, you love my daughter and she loves you, because she's smitten over you, all this other stuff, yah, yah, woo, woo, woo. I was like, yeah, I care about your daughter, all this other stuff. He's like, well, I'm going to go ahead and get you two married by Friday. I was like, huh? You going to do what? And, mind you, I'm living with family. I'm like, my mom's here, my grandmother's here, my niece, my sisters, and I'm like, dude, we ain't gonna roll like that. Like, but he's straight out telling me like we in the military. So I'm like, dude, we civilians up in here now, player. We ain't in no military, because her father is former military. So anyway, he's like, me and such Denise, because that's her mother's name. Me and Denise, we just gonna sit in the background and watch y'all. Woo woo woo. I was like, nah, this ain't gonna happen. And I knew when I ran it across my mom, I knew she was not gonna play that. So I was like, all right, whatever.